three teams that we should really watch, really keep an eye on as this trade deadline nears. And we're going to go through each of these teams. I want you to tell me what they need, what they should do, what you think they're going to do. All
right.
Okay. Let's get started with the first team, the Orioles.
The Baltimore Orioles, to me, a team that I had Ken Rosenthal on last week on Wednesday, all trade deadline stuff. And they were a team that I asked about because they're ready to win. I mean,
they're first in the AL East.
They're winning.
They're dominating
the AL
right
East.
now.
And I think if you were to ask people at the beginning of the year, where are the O's going to finish up in the division? I think people would have told you, you know what? The Orioles were really good to end last year, and I think they can continue to be good this year. I think they could finish in third place in the AL East. I think that's probably what most people would have told you. And now here they are at the end of July, very end of July, and guess what? They're in first place in the AL East come August. So the Orioles need help, though. You know, like they've done all of this while just building from within and having Adley come up and Grayson Rodriguez and Colton Cowser, and all of these names have come together to be a first place team, but they don't have the pitching that they need to have. No matter, I don't think they could do enough at the trade deadline. So for me, watch out for the Orioles. They need pitching. And if they get pitching, if they're able to get, look, it's the trade deadline. Who knows? Who really knows what's out there? You know, like who knew Max Scherzer was going to be on the move? But turns out he is. So we don't know. But the Orioles need to do something, and they need to do something. There's not enough they can do ahead of this deadline where they can add pitching wise, because that's what makes them a World Series potential winner, is adding pitching.
So question, if they don't make a big move at the trade deadline, can they maintain this first place spot in the AL East and possibly make a far push into the postseason?
I think the first answer is yes, and I think the second answer is no. Look, I mean, it's August, and we've seen them with the pitching that they have be in first place in the AL East. And not just that, the Rays were historically good.
Yeah.
And they stayed close enough that whole time while the entire world was talking about how good the Rays are.
Yep.
The Orioles just stayed right there. Just stayed right there under the radar.
Up and then jumped them.
And then next thing you know, well, not next thing you know, the Rays played 500 baseball for 2 months. But next thing, the Orioles take that first place spot. So I absolutely think they can win the division. They can win the division with the current team they have. I don't believe that they can do a lot of damage in the playoffs with the pitching rotation that they do have. I like their bullpen a lot. I do. I don't think they can do the damage they need to in the playoffs with the rotation they have.
All right, well, let's move from the top of the AL East to the bottom of the AL East and talk about the Yankees. They just got Aaron Judge back, but they are two completely different teams with Aaron Judge and without Aaron Judge. The Yankees with Aaron Judge are playing 600 baseball. Without him, they're under 500 baseball. So what do they need to do now?
Well, you know who the Yankees are even with Aaron Judge. They're a team that's not good enough to win the American League. It's the same offense that got swept by the Astros last year. They need to add a bat. A big bat. They need, you know, I think Cody Bellinger would have been the perfect piece, but guess what?
He's gone.
Off the market.
Yep.
See ya. So what else is out there? Well, that's their job to figure that out and not my job. But I'll tell you what they need, and they need offense. You know, I think Carlos Rodon turned a corner in his last start. I think I think it was a bit overblown his first couple of starts. We see it. He missed the entire year. I mean, look at the year Justin's having now after missing the first month. Like, give the guy some time to come back and be good and be great. I like Carlos Rodon a lot, and it looks like he's starting to round out into form a little bit. He was throwing hard the other night. Off-speed stuff looked good. So I love what they added to the rotation. Now you have Garrett and Carlos Rodon at the top of that rotation, but I'm telling you, they need another bat. Like, Aaron Judge comes back, yes, and he immediately produces for them. He's been great since he comes back. But also a question is, he's not going to play every day for how long? I don't know. But Sunday night,
so you need like an outfielder bat.
Right. Sunday night, he didn't play. Like, they're going to have to work him back a little bit. But even Aaron Judge aside, this offense isn't good enough. They're just not. You have Giancarlo Stanton hitting under 200 on the year. Under 200. That's crazy. You have Anthony
bad.
Rizzo underperforming, DJ LeMahieu underperforming. You have underperformance everywhere you look in the offense. I think adding a bat not only helps the Yankees' offensive production, it's a big shot in the arm for the team of like, hey, this is the push we need. This is the bat we needed. And now we can go and now we believe that we're a different team that's capable of competing with everybody in the playoffs. And as of right now, I just don't think their offense, I think they can get into the playoffs.
Okay.
I do. And I think they can do damage in the playoffs. But with the New York Yankees, I don't think the conversation is ever, can they win a couple games in the playoffs? Or what the front office and management told us after the year last year. Well, hey, we were 4 games away from the World Series.
Yeah, you got swept in those 4 games.
Exactly. I don't think any Yankees fan is okay with that. And I think they need a bat.
But everyone that they have to jump to even get into a wild card spot are within their division. Like that's who's ahead of them in this wild card hunt right now. So they could probably jump Boston, but Boston's not quite in yet. It's Toronto, Houston, and Tampa Bay in the wild card spots right now. And then Baltimore's playing great, and that's who's top of the AL East right now.
I'm telling you.
It's a really tough division.
They have quite the lead right now because of how they started the season. If I'm the Rays, if I'm Rays fans, I'm a little worried. You can't play 500 ball the rest of the year.
No.
You can't do it. And they've been doing it for over 2 months now.
So you think that's who they can take over?
I think they're better than the Red Sox.
Okay.
You mentioned that all the teams a lot of them are within the division. That's a positive in my opinion, because you're going to play you're going to end up playing them a lot more. And then just kind of take care of your own business and you'll get into the playoffs.
You control your own destiny.
But I love the Jays. I predicted them to win the AL East. They're playing well. I love the Orioles. I like the Rays are a question mark right now, but they have that big lead because of how good they were.
Yeah. Well, the other team that's ahead of them is the next team that we're talking about. So let's move on to the reigning champions, the Astros. I mean, they just got Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez back, which feels like a big trade right around this time anyway to kind of get that movement. But who do you want to see them go after?
I think they need to add a starting pitcher. And we talked about it yesterday, and the GM spoke on Sunday about how they're not really in the market for a starting pitcher, which is, in my opinion, the wrong choice. And not that they're not going to acquire one. He said if the right thing comes along, yes. But as of now, they're looking to add bullpen help. I don't think that's the right move. I really don't. If I'm the Astros, and I've followed them very closely for the last 5 years. When was 2017? How many? 6 years? Is that right? Good God.
Math? Are you doing math?
That's just
16?
I feel like Justin
17,
just got
18,
traded
19,
to the Astros,
20,
and it's been
21,
6
22.
years.
Yeah.
But we're in 23.
20,
right?
So 7 years ago?
What
I
year
never
is
know.
it?
I never know how to count. It is 23. I never know how to count
6 years.
the baseball seasons. I'm like,
6 years.
Do you go to the next one? Do you
That's
count that
crazy.
one?
And
Yeah.
for those 6 years where I followed the Astros closely, they're a team that at the trade deadline, it's like, okay, what do they really need to add? Maybe a bullpen arm. And then next thing you know, it's like the Astros have acquired Zach Greinke, a big starting pitcher arm. And this is the first year where the new GM is in charge of what they do.
Oh, I forgot it's the new GM.
And he's out there saying, we're not really looking to add a starting pitcher.
Maybe that's to kind of throw people off because your brother's name was in the mix. That was kind of the rumor that was floating around this weekend.
Oh, you don't say.
So, I mean, I even reached out to you. I was like, so is it happening?
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, what Dana Brown said, GM, was that they don't want to jeopardize, like, they've obviously got this system going, right? And it's been producing year in and year out, and they don't want to jeopardize that by adding a pitcher now and getting rid of the future. But I just think they need a starter. Mm-hmm. Just one. Get a starting pitcher.
So who?
Well, if Bellinger's off the market, Stroman's off the market. Yep. And who's out there becomes the next great question. And Alex,
a lot of them are going.
Yeah.
A lot of them have gone.
That's Dana Brown's job to figure out.
Yeah.
Figure out who's out there. I don't know. We're seeing pitchers go like hotcakes right now, though.
And they didn't go after anyone.
Jordan Montgomery, Lance Lynn, Lucas Giolito, Max Scherzer. These names are flying off the board. Next thing you know, the Cubs go on an 8-game win streak. That big name that the Astros were being talked about was Marcus Stroman. Well, now guess what?
He gone.
The Cubs have played themselves into a position to go for it. So now he's off the possibility. So I don't know who's out there. They got to figure that out. And that, to me, they're a big team to watch, because if the Astros can go get a 2 or 3 guy in the rotation, as in not 2 or 3 guys, as in a top 2 or 3 guy in the rotation that you can turn to in a playoff series to start games, I believe they're a World Series team again. As of right now, I think they need a starter.